Hello and welcome back to the She Gallery Show. Thank you for being with us. My name is Dulce Maria Diaz. I am founder and director of She Gallery. This is season 7 of the She Gallery Show here with Can TV, and today I have two very, very special women with us. As our guest, we have Ms. B.
Hello, everybody.
And Ms. Michael LaFlora.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being with us. And today is a very special episode. Not only is it 2020, the first segment of season 7, 2020, but it is also the day of the Epiphany. The day of the Epiphany is the day that the three wise men went, followed the northern star for Jesus, if you are religious. Even if you're not, today we also celebrate Joan of Arc, who was a patron. Whether you believe in saints or not, she was somebody that led a war. And the way that Joan of Arc decided to lead this war was simply by following her intuition. So Joan had messages, and she was a very devout follower, and she felt like she had communications with God, and she followed this war. And so today, January 6th, we celebrate Joan of Arc. Today, we also want to bring up Elizabeth Gamble. Elizabeth Gamble is an unrecognized author from the 1800s, and the reason that we're celebrating Elizabeth Gamble today is because we're talking about manifestation. We are talking about intuition. We are talking about being woman. We are talking about being humans and evolution. So Elizabeth Gamble adopted Darwin's theory in the 1800s and rewrote a book, The Sexes and Evolution. And her theory was that we are still evolving as human beings. Everybody's still evolving every single day. We had a few segments ago an episode with Trickster where he taught us the evolution of the graffiti history. Well, there's all kinds of evolution. We are always evolving, right? Every single day we are evolving. Our hair is growing. Our skin is shedding. We are evolving every single day. People are dying. People are living. And this is what happens. So according to Elizabeth Gamble's studies, women have evolved farther than men have, thus making women superior than men. Something that nobody talks about. And this isn't about who's better or who's worse or who's more superior or not, but we are talking about stages of evolution. So the reason that Elizabeth Gamble found that females back in the 1800s had evolved farther than men had was because we listened to our intuition. Intuition is something that we are all born with, whether you're male or female. But females, for some reason, follow it. And this is something that anybody and everybody can continue to do. But we must first rid our egos. So this is why it is so important to stay humble, to be true to yourself, and to rid that ego so you can get to that part of intuition and really live, really, really live. So you don't have to be a woman to use your intuition. You just have to get rid of your ego. And that's not that simple. Harriet Tubman, I also want to bring up Harriet Tubman because she, like Joan of Arc, did exactly that. Got rid of all her ego and said, I am listening within. It's not something that we're taught, right? We're always taught to look outside.
Right.
Read that book, do as your mom says, or do as your father, or whoever's in your household, wherever culture you come from, wherever background, no matter what part of this world you live in. Hardly anybody tells you to go to your room, meditate, look within yourself, and figure it out.
Right.
Well, maybe nowadays, now in 2020, but, we were raised in this world where we were just told. And if you thought anything or felt anything, you keep that to yourself. Mm-hmm. And then we have all these crazy artists with these crazy ideas, inventing iPhones and all this technology. Oh, my God. So here we are, 2020, and we are celebrating all of these great gifts. And I had the great, great pleasure of meeting Miss B.
Thank you.
And she brought these three women here together today, as a matter of fact. In 2007, after I was mourning death, a lot of us go through death, and if you have ever lost a loved one, you know how cold, lonely, scary that feeling is, where you don't know how, if you're going crazy. Let's say you're dreaming about this person, or you start to see them or seeing signs, or you just think that you're missing them and people want you to get over it or something. But in 2007, I had experiences with somebody that had passed away, and I just felt like this person continued to visit and continued to teach me things. And my family was very worried about me, and they said, you know, you should really go to this place, it's this holistic store. So I went there, and I had the chance to meet some very, very great people. Sherry, rest in peace, told me she is the one that helped me decipher my dreams when I was having these continuous dreams to go back to school, to go back to art school. And it is because of Sherry and because I listened to Sherry that we are here with She Gallery. Thank you, Sherry. And it is at the same place where I had the chance to meet Miss B.
Yes.
And I had
it
a
was.
chance to befriend Miss B and learn her story. Miss B, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your story?
A little bit about my story was I was going through a lot of emotional frustration. It came to a point in my life where I decided to try to take my own life away. And as I did that, I came back, but I was opened spiritually, where my intuition heightened so much that I can hear messages. And like you, I thought I was going crazy, but I really wasn't. It was just one of my spirit guides trying to tell me how to guide people. And part of my life purpose is to help people, give them messages from like their deceased loved ones, because I do psychic mediumship too. But I also read the tarot. I do, believe in my stones. But it was a very difficult part in my life, and I overcame it.
So you went through some hardship, and then what happened after you came out of this hardship was you had a brand new gift that you never had before.
Exactly.
And you were able to communicate with spirits. And how did you adapt to that?
It wasn't hard.
Excuse me.
It kind of came naturally. In the beginning, I would always I would tell my sister everything. I have my sister, Suzanne. We are so connected that I was even getting her to open up. But I knew she wasn't going to think I was crazy. Because that's the hard part, when people think you're crazy, but you're not really crazy, because you know what you're feeling, you know what you're sensing, you know what you're seeing. And some people have their feelings, premonitions through dreams. Because I can dream too, but when I dream, it's probably once or twice out of the year, and it's a premonition of something to come.
And everybody has a different journey. Everybody has a different story, and that's what happened to you, and it helped you, and you are with us today. Thank you so much. You're living a much better life, making better
Yes.
decisions, because these gifts have helped you make better decisions, and you are helping others make better decisions.
Exactly.
And you've helped me, and you've also helped Miss Michael LaFleur. Michael, you have an amazing story as well, and your gift came a little bit different, and you have a different gift. Now, you were at 18 years old diagnosed. Well, you were a very sick child, right? Why don't you
Yes.
talk to us a little bit about your story?
Just from birth, I had a lot of medical problems. I was always sick. I had meningitis as a child, and a lot of problems came from that, hearing loss. And I guess just over the years, nothing really improved. Things got worse, asthma, a lot of significant allergies. Just, I wasn't living a full life. Every time I would get involved in something active, these medical problems would kind of stop me. And it's like if anyone had the flu or any kind of infection, I would kind of be the person that would catch it. Any job that I had, I would be the person that would need at least 2 days off a month, just because I'm sick. So at 18, I was in college, and I was diagnosed with a joint disorder and told that I would be put into a wheelchair for the rest of my life by 25. And at that moment, I said, no, not me, that's enough. I had been taught some spiritual principles from my mother, who had started to read, some books about meditation and visualization and manifestation. And she, kind of sat me down and said, listen, it's time now for you to go within and solve problems that cannot be solved on the outside. So when medication isn't working, can't take any more steroids, there are no more inhalers that are doing anything for you, and you're just at a point where nothing is working, then it's time now to go within. And as I started to look within, the solutions started to come. And I got a coach, and through the coach, I became better at solving each medical problem. And by the time I was 35, I had all but eliminated most of the issues that I had suffered with for so many years.
Congratulations.
So I'm just confident in my ability to constructively use my mind and intuition to heal at will. And that's what I think is important.
At will.
At will.
At will. Why don't you elaborate a little bit more about what you mean by at will? We were all born with free will. And earlier, Ms. B was talking about, you're hearing these voices and you can't really deny it. And we are living in an age right now, today, where the war between good and evil is so obvious. And you hear these comments on the news sometimes. Oh, a voice told me to kill my child. I read medical records for a living, and it is wow. And I watch the news and I see this every single day. People are diagnosed with mental illness, saying that they're suffering from these issues. They're schizophrenia. Maybe they just have to battle their own demons. And that does not necessarily mean that you're going to come out and do an exorcism or anything like that. It's just getting to know yourself, listening to yourself, and following your good will. Because like she said, all of us have voices in our head, right? I mean, nobody just closes their eye or their mind, or, you're never just truly by yourself. There's always thoughts. Where are these thoughts coming from? Who is speaking? Well, I learned. If these thoughts are good, then they are of the good. And that's what you listen to. If these thoughts are negative in any kind of way, hesitant, doubtful, fearful, anxiety, then that's not of good. And that's what you don't listen to. And that's the importance of goodwill. So why don't you elaborate a little bit more about how you girls learned to use your tools and your skills? So you for example, you automatically started communicating with these spirits, learned to adjust, and then you were forced to learn new tools such as the tarot.
Yes, the tarot cards.
Yeah, why don't you talk to us a little bit
I
about
had
this?
to learn the tarot cards because I worked at a holistic shop.
You want to show us some of the cards? And what do these stones represent? Sorry.
This is tourmaline, and tourmaline is really good for negativity. So it's almost like it transmute the negativity into positivity. That's what tourmaline does. This is amethyst. I use this a lot for my readings.
I love amethyst.
And it gives you good vibrations. It's a calming stone, but it also helps you with your psychicness. And this is celestite. Celestite I use because I communicate a lot with the angels. It's part of my job. And I will meditate with this so that I can get clearer answers and clarity. If anybody has a problem, question, they call me. It's the stone I grab. Now I have my cards.
Okay. And while she grabs her cards, I just want to dabble in a little bit. These are minerals from the earth, as are we. And this is how we are all connected. We are all grounded. The earth, gold, the reason that gold is so valuable is because the core of the earth, before the earth shifted ever, it was just gold. That core was just gold. And then we had natural disasters, shifted the earth, the planets, and then all of these stones started kind of like, getting caught up with the rocks, with the land. And that's where the gold comes from. So the gold comes from the core of the earth, which is really, really valuable. Sorry.
That's okay. Now this deck is the Rider-Waite deck. I have multiple decks. I have Angel Oracles, Angel Romance. This is the Rider Waite. It helps me clarify a lot more readings. Since I'm an intuitive reader, I get messages intuitively, and the tarot cards, what they help me do is bring out more information, more clarity. So you have like the Temperance card. For me, that means patience, finding the balance within you. Six of Wands, it's all about victory.
So every card, sorry, every card has a different
Meaning.
meaning, significance, and go ahead, you can leave them back out. I just wanted to show the audience. Can I touch them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because everything has its own energy, and I'm very respectful towards that. So here, for example, we see cups. Cups represent
Water.
water. Everything is an element. We go back to the elements. We have water, fire, air, earth, and then the fifth element, love. Cups always represent water, emotions, right?
Emotions.
Swords, words, right?
Mental. This is all mental, the swords.
And then we go to, sorry, I just want to kind of show an example of what these elements mean. Wands is action, that's the rods. And then we go to the material one, which would be the pentacles. This would be earth. So there's this big, huge taboo with the tarot that it's like, oh, that's devil stuff, but it's actually not. These are tarot, these are elements. And if you really study and look at these symbols, for example, the high priest, that's like representative of like the Virgin Mary or the Torah, Terra. I mean, like all of these symbologies that people don't tell us about. Why do you girls think that they have not like told us to use these why have we been taught not to use these skills?
Well, a lot of these skills, like in my opinion, a lot of people think it's evil, it's witchery, and it really isn't. Because if you're going to do something, you're going to do something for the goodwill of others. If you're that type of person.
So why do you think that society has like shined us away from using these tools?
All of their beliefs.
I think it's power. I think it's power. Just like religion. No offense to any religion, but
Right.
everybody feels like, oh, you must do this to get to there, or the government. You know, if you don't do this, then you're not gonna get there. If you don't pay these taxes or whatever it is, there's a control. There's a controlling factor, and when you have a deck of cards that's just here, there's nobody else. You don't have to go seek anybody else. It's just you and the divine, and that's it. Well, then how are they going to make any money, right? How's anybody going to make any money? So these are tools to really help ourselves, and they have helped you girls, and they have helped
Yes.
other people. Can you please share with us how you have both helped other people? Miss LeFleur with Wealth and Health Manifestation. You did it for yourself, and now you're helping others.
Right. Well, I have had many people in my own personal life, people close to me who have gone through near-death experiences. Even my mother, for example, she was given 6 weeks to live. And having the experiences that I had with healing, knowing what I knew, we were able to extend her life for 10 years through the use of intentional healing, through the use of intuition, through using energy. You can touch people and you can literally shift the energy within that person while they're lying in a hospital bed. So there is just a lot of power within yourself. There's no outside tool or medication needed. Everything that the body needs to heal is already within. And what you're doing is basically you're just energizing the body through intuition, by asking certain questions, tapping into the spirit, asking the spirit to guide you, and through prayer. Those are my methods. You're able to extend life, you're able to improve life, and you can even restore life. So with my mother, like I said, she went from having a diagnosis of she will be dead in 6 weeks, so prepare, to living another 10 years with all of her organs failing. And that was a miracle for me to see. I watched my sister be, brought from the death. When we went to see her in a hospital, she was in a fire. She was passed away. She was literally hard, cold to the touch, and they didn't even put her on a bed. They had her on the steel slab, like go say your goodbyes. And my mother was like, no, we're going to speak to this life. We're going to first pray. We're going to ask for guidance, and that's the intuition. And the intuition came through what to do. This is when I first was learning how this process worked. And the intuition said, speak to her. And this is a good example of how intuition and healing go hand in hand. And so as she began to speak to her and it was being communicated what to say, I literally watched my sister come back to life. And the life came back into her face and into her body. And so I work with people who need healing. I also work with people who need healing in a financial area, because to me those two areas are so devastating. We struggle so much as a society in those areas, and
Wealth and health.
yeah, wealth and health. And it's not always about this get-rich-quick scheme, but sometimes it's simply about how do I get out of this debt that's crushing my family, that's not allowing me to live. For myself, I had a situation where I needed to stop working so that I could take care of my family. But how, and I know a lot of people are out there in that same experience. How do you do that and survive? You have to financially be able to take care of yourself so that you can take care of your family. And so through intuition, I was able to create an income that allowed me to stay home and take care of my family. So once again I did these things for myself, I went out and I started helping other people. Sometimes in small groups, sometimes I've done coaching sessions. So through either money or health, those are the two areas that I focus on the most. But I also work with women on strategic dating, because to me that's another area with women especially that intuition needs to come into play, where you need to know how to date in a more strategic way and protect yourself. Yeah.
And so earlier we're talking about Elizabeth Gamble, and nowadays we're in 2020 where everybody says the future is female, and we're saying, well, the female was the past, the present, and the future. The female will always be, but the female doesn't support the other female as much as the female should. So what you're doing is wonderful. What you're doing is wonderful. And we do need to support us women more, because we do understand what we're going through. We understand what we're going through because we are all going through the same struggle of being superior, of being called inferior when we're truly superior. And everybody that lives in a household knows that. That's not disrespecting the male. I think that we are meant to work together. And earlier you were talking about the importance of that balance. You want to talk to us a little bit more about that balance?
The male and female. I think that as a society we have to understand that
We're not disrespecting the males, just so
no,
you know.
we live in a patriarchal society, so we've been under this idea that the men are in charge and they're in power and we follow that. But what's important is balance, and that's with everything. When there's a yin and yang going on, then you have a perfect harmony in life. And the same goes with the body. The same goes with money, health, and even a marriage. There has to be the masculine and the feminine operating together. And when it comes to intuitive healing, intuition even comes into play because the right side of your body is masculine, the left side represents the feminine. And so sometimes when one of those gets out of balance, you will see an effect on one side of the body where you will have, sometimes you'll have pain or you'll have, numbness, as I've had in certain instances, or swelling on one side of the body. So when you get out of balance and you don't have enough feminine energy or masculine energy, you will even see the effect either in a certain area of your life or even your finances. So
Is this where the machoism problem comes in?
It can.
And it does. And this is exactly what Elizabeth Gamble was saying. was that women have reached a higher level of evolution through intuition because we've learned to get rid of our ego. And if you don't get rid of our ego, you're just not gonna get there. You will remain unbalanced. So it's completely up to you, to your free will. That's completely up to you. Sorry, really quick, because we only have a couple of minutes left. Excuse me. Is there anything else that any of you would like to share about your stories or what like you do, or any inspiring words to the audience?
Well, my thing is trust your gut all the time. That's very important, using your intuition. If your gut's saying go left, go left. Do not go right. A lot of us doubt our intuition.
Going
And
back to that doubt.
that's where we get into a lot of messes because we end up taking the wrong turn. Intuition is very important. We all have it. Not just the females, but the males do too. We all have it. We just need to use it. I became very humbled after my incident and with my gifts. So I try to spiritually guide people for the better of their lives.
Thank you for that. And that's a very good point what you just said. God, you just said it. And I was like, I'm gonna piggyback on that one. I'm sorry.
About the intuition, trusting it.
Trusting your intuition or following your gut. I was telling Ms. B that we're doing these holidays. We just had these holidays, and I was watching the story about Scott Peterson, Lacey Peterson, and Amber, the woman that basically brought him to light about what he had done. And that's what she said. She said, I wish more women would listen to their intuition. And that is that. Following your gut is doing just that, following your intuition. And just like she said, you don't have to be male, you don't have to be female, but you can listen to yourself, your higher self. That might be God, whether you believe in God or not. We had Joan of Arc, who led an amazing war. We would not be here. The world would not be the same if it wasn't for Joan of Arc. The world would not be the same if it wasn't for Harriet Tubman, who saved so many slaves, and so many people were afraid of her, just like people were afraid of Joan of Arc because she talked to God. Is that fearful? We thank you so much for being with us. We encourage you to continue to follow your intuition, follow your dreams, and rid your ego. Thank you. We'll see you next week.